Here's the formula. Maturity, independence from these things, not needing them anymore. Maturity comes from growing past these games and not relying on them anymore. When you see your game, when you see your story, when you see your mythology, then you can become conscious of it. You can watch it happening. And you'll do it again, and you'll screw up, and you'll see the result, and you'll go, oh, damn. But this time you'll remember it, and you'll say, oh. And then you'll come up with a way to head it off at the pass, and you'll do a little better next time, and a little better. And eventually you won't need it anymore. And the moment will go by where you'll see, oh, I was just about to do this thing. I was just about to screw this up. And I didn't. I just let it go. I let it cruise on by, and now everything's okay. So letting go of these games, these stories, these mythologies, that's what helps you get to maturity. Let's talk about relationship. I don't just mean about a man and a woman together. Let's talk about the concept of relationship. What does relationship mean? What is a relationship? Any ideas? Two bodies reacting? An association. What does it mean in the context of humans with other humans? Connection between two people, an exchange, good. Sharing, an interaction that moves something or somebody. That they move somewhere together. Nominalization, okay, good. We're freezing a process into a word, yeah, we are. Evolving connection, good. These are all good, interesting definitions, good insights. You might want to write some of these down. What? Partners in crime. Talk about your personal myth a little later. Creating magic together. Reconnecting. Sharing of common ground. Well, I think to figure out what a relationship is and what the word means, because this is the word that we all use in English to describe this thing. When a man and a woman connect, when two people connect, they have a relationship. So I've geeked out on this word a lot and said, what is going on there? What is the root word here that we're dealing with? Relate. Relate. There's no E here, but relate is the word. Now, what does relate mean? Connect. Find common ground. Common understanding. Communicate. To share. When we denominalize this word and we take it and make it into this root verb, relate, what is happening? What are you feeling when you relate to another person? Yell a word out. Exchange, empathy, attraction, understanding, connection, bond, rapport, vibe. There's something about that word relate that's interesting, isn't there? What is it to relate to a person? Well, it seems to me that when I am relating, there's a feeling of we are together as an us. Did you notice that when Chris and Greg first started talking, that there was not, your gut did not tell you these two people are relating? Did anyone feel like they were relating when they first started talking? No. At the end, did you feel like they were relating to each other? something was going on where they had this relate thing happening, right? It was the beginning of relationship of some type. I look around at a lot of the world's problems. I look at relationship problems between men and women. I look at challenges in business. I've become very interested in business and how to grow successful business. And it strikes me that one of the biggest challenges is when two people don't feel like they can relate to each other. That's where the big disconnect comes. When I cannot relate to you, that emotional feeling of we have some common ground, the usness. We're in this together. We're on the same page. We can see the same thing. I think an important part of relating is shared perspective. Shared perspective. Now, we can come from one of two basic places. Either we don't see things the same way, or we do see things the same way. Let's say that this is your experience, and let's say that this is my experience. Do we see things the same way? Yes or no? It started out with no, and then everyone started saying, well, there's a little bit. Well, actually, there's a little area where you do. Where do we focus typically, most people, when this is going on? We focus on we don't see things the same way. That's the paradigm that we see. I actually think, my perspective at this point is, that we have a natural mechanism inside of us that you might call the us and the them mechanism. And that we automatically see other humans as either us's or them's. Go to any sports event and you'll see what I'm talking about. Us's and them's. And I think, just to go off on one of my philosophical tangents, I think that this us's and them's and focusing on where we are different, what we don't have in common, and having that be the root, we're not the same, I think that's underlying a lot of our biggest problems that we face today. And I see it as being rooted in biology, that there's something going on where there's an us-them thing. You're not part of my group. You're not part of my tribe. You are part of my group. You are part of my tribe. And I don't think it's a logical, rational thing. I think we make logic and rationalize about it when it happens, and then we tell ourselves this story, and we make up this story about it. I don't think that's what's really going on. So when I now meet another person, what I try to do, this is my attempt, is I try to go into the paradigm of you and I are the same. We are alike. We share perspective. We want the same things. We're an us. That's where I start. Because there is way more power in this area right here than there is in these. Not much good comes from focusing on these when you first meet a person and you're first getting to know them. There are certain circumstances where there is value that comes from it. But I'm saying on this primal level, not much happens here. When we find this, what happens? We relate. We have a connection. We have a portal through which we can begin a relationship. Does that make sense? Relating is the portal through which we can begin the relationship. That's the connector. That's the line that starts it. If you can't find that when you first meet another human, you're missing out on a huge quantity of growth and learning and development that you could possibly take advantage of. What's the lock on the treasure box? I already know that. There's a more subtle version of it. I get it. I get it, and I get you. Or I get you enough to put you in my little box. You have some part of your personality or belief system or culture or behavior that's enough different from me that I can discount you as a human. I can discount your word. I can discount your value as a person. Ironically, we'll talk more about this in the next few days when we get more into technique and so forth, and there's more bridge into that stuff. But ironically, when it comes to attracting women, there's actually an alternate universe where we have to even change our modified ways of looking at things, because that's another reality within this bigger reality. And sometimes we do things to mess with women and basically almost say, I can't relate to you and you are less than me. And then they go, no, I want to be with you now, which that's, a whole other, little mommy daddy thing that we got to deal with later and decide whether or not that's appropriate for us. When you meet another person, you might try on, are you one of the people that looks at these things and tries to figure out where you're not on my team, or are you looking for this, the portal through which to relate, start a relationship? Another friend of mine, we were talking, he said, we found that for some reason, if two people meet and they both like the same type of music, they both like the same style of music, for some reason that's the instant rapport creator. Musical commonality, some reason there's this values connect. People that like country music tend to like people that like country music. People that like hard rock tend to like people that like hard rock. I've analyzed this a little bit. I think that there are levels of psychological development that tend to go with different types of music and kind of represent where someone's at, whether they're more of the I'm being independent in my life right now, or whether they're more ecologically aware and trying to be part of the group or whatever. So maybe there's some of that, but there's also personality type stuff, whatever. You've probably heard that this idea that the way to align and unite a nation is to have a common enemy. Is it possible that maybe even in our enlightened culture, we've created some common enemies to unite the group for our agenda? I don't think that's probably ever happened, but it's just a hypothetical, might happen in the future sometime, or maybe it happened a long time, not any time recently. Can you push these buttons and use these dynamics if you want? Yeah, of course. If you find a commonality first, if you see where we can find commonality, and then you expand that commonality, and you continue uncovering the squares where you're the same, and you just keep finding commonality, keep relating, what will you eventually feel? You'll eventually feel relation. If you continue relating and finding commonality, at some point you'll experience the feeling of so much commonality, so much connection, that it will trip that feeling inside of you of relation. We are related. Is we are related an intellectual concept? Do you defend your family and protect your family because it's the intellectually logical thing to do? No, that's not what's going on. That's one of those gifts from nature that you got. Okay? relation. I think that relating, finding commonality, and continuing to find commonality and continuing to relate with another human being to the point where we feel relation, we both feel it, I think that that's one of the keys to a lot of the problems that we face. I think it's the key that unlocks the lock in family relationships, male-female relationships, work relationships, cultural differences, all that stuff. If we relate to each other long enough that we feel relation, and then we continue to relate, what's that? That is relationship. Relationship. It's that process of relation, relating. Relate, feel relation, and then continue doing it. Relationship. Feeling. Deep, primal brain stuff here. Beyond just the emotional. This is an exercise that's going to involve an area that there's a little bit of controversy over. I'm going to introduce the concept of evolution. It seems to me, after looking at many perspectives on the topic, that to most groups, most philosophies, most religious perspectives, groups, strikes me that most of them seem to be of the perspective that some evolution has happened, at least some. And what I'm going to go with is the paradigm that over the last couple million years or something, that a creature that was much like us was born and then gave rise to this branch of evolution called the human species. I'm going to go with that for this exercise. If you've got a problem with that, or that's not your paradigm, or you don't want to do it, you don't need to participate in this. Maybe you could do your version of it, only go through as much as fits your model, okay? I want this to be accessible to all. I want you to be able to relate to as much of it as you can, because whether or not you buy into the evolutionary part or whatever is unimportant. The structure of the exercise is what's important and what you get out of it in the end. And I think that all of us, no matter what our paradigms, could get a lot out of it. So whether you're doing this because this is also your paradigm, or you're doing it just to play along, like as a visualization, like as a mind trick, or you're going along, with just a little bit of it, whatever you want to do, I recommend that you follow, but you don't need to if you don't want to, if it doesn't fit. Imagine what it might feel like with your eyes closed for the aging process to reverse. And in this very moment, instead of getting a little older, you started getting a little younger. And now imagine that process beginning to speed up. Younger and younger. And at first, you're a week younger, and then a month younger, and then 3 months younger, a year younger, 2 years younger, 4 years younger, speeding up. You're getting younger faster and faster. Notice the physiological changes. Notice how you begin to look different, feel different. Getting younger and younger, faster and faster and faster. Going back through your teenage years, becoming a child. You start to become smaller and smaller, getting younger and younger, all the way down to where you're a little baby, going faster and faster. Now, at your birth, going back inside your mother, getting smaller and smaller inside of your mother, shrinking, tinier and tinier, becoming an embryo, then becoming an egg, And then see yourself separate into an egg and a sperm. See the egg go back up inside your mother, the sperm go back inside your father, and now see the two of them begin to get younger. Faster, faster, faster. See them become teenagers, children, babies. See them go back up inside their parents, become smaller and smaller and separate into sperm and egg and go back inside of their parents. See your 4 grandparents getting younger and younger and younger, faster and faster, becoming babies, going inside their parents. See the process beginning to multiply. 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, 32, 64, separating, multiplying, separating, multiplying. See this group of people expanding and expanding, and realize this is where you came from, expanding, multiplying, getting younger, going up inside of their parents, multiplying. As the process gets faster, there are so many people that you can't count them anymore. First hundreds, then thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people becoming younger, going back up inside of their parents. Now see this process begin to even accelerate faster. Millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people going back in time faster and faster. Now see the number of them beginning to shrink, even though the process is still going backwards, getting fewer and fewer, but going back in time further and further. Fewer and fewer, going back in time further and further. All the way back 250,000 generations back. Tracing a trail through the more than 100 billion humans that have been born. All the way back to our single common mother. Some scientists call her Eve, to borrow the name from the Bible. There's a book called The 7 Daughters of Eve that was written by one of these scientists, and they've looked at the DNA of all of us, and they determined that Eve, they believe, had 7 daughters, because there are essentially 7 strains of us. That's why they call it the 7 Daughters of Eve. And she had 7 daughters. She was the first, what we might call proto-human, and her 7 daughters then went on to have all of those humans that you just imagined going back, all the way back in time. And now imagine Eve giving birth to each of her daughters, and see them growing up, the 7 daughters, seeing each of them have children, and their children having children with each other, and their children having children, faster and faster, tens, hundreds, thousands, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions, tens of billions, over 100 billion, all the way back to Tibet today. See them spreading out all across the globe, different races, different sizes, different cultures. Come back, open your eyes, look around the room. We are related, all of us. These are your relatives in this room. You're looking at people you are related to. And you figured it out. Okay? Stand up and meet a couple of your relatives. Who had an aha there? Was that a little weird? That's a little trippy, huh? Man, I got a lot of family. Where am I going to put them all on Christmas for dinner? Guess what? You're related to all the women you meet, too. all of them. They're our sisters. They are our cousins. They're our aunts. They're our daughters. You with me on this? I'm not giving you any kind of philosophical or religious or dogmatic anything. I'm just giving you a realization that I had. I had that one myself, just thinking about it.
Why are they on Jerry Springer?
Why are they on Jerry Springer?
Yeah, they're all our cousins and sisters.
You having a hard time letting this one land? Are you? Yeah. It's okay. It's a trip. And you remember I told you that I'm a little bit weirded out when I look back at some of the things that I wrote in the past and some of the things that I thought? These are humans. These are people I'm related to. Now, unfortunately, I've also not treated my own immediate family very well at some points in my life, right? But how does that change how you might relate to a woman, or how you might want to learn to relate to a woman in the future? Does it maybe take a little bit more of the edge off of, I would need to figure out how to trick her into sex? Or I need to put on some weird persona so that she thinks I'm a certain way? Is there maybe even a little realization of, you know what, maybe I should just mellow out? I mean, this is just, another person that I happen to be related to at some level. I read in a book recently that, in our modern American culture, if you marry your sister, it's real weird. Not too cool. But in Egyptian culture, if you were the pharaoh, you had to marry your sister, or else you were weird and uncool. In America, if I say to you, hey, want a cup of blood? You're going to say, okay, maybe there's a couple of screws loose in the dome piece. But if you're a Maasai in Africa, hey, want a cup of blood is how you relate and contribute to your tribe. That's how you're generous with someone, right? They poke a hole in the neck of the cow and let the blood run out, and they're like, oh man, that's some good stuff. That's like Grey Goose to them. Belvedere, okay, sorry. If I watch the Maasai tribe take some blood from a cow and then drink it, I'm going to be a little weirded out by that. But if I look at all the places where they're the same as me, right? One insight that I had, I was talking to Joe, who's sitting at the back table, and I said, I was thinking about this issue about relating, and reality is we can relate to anything if we try. We can relate to anything. Most of the time, we keep our relating mechanism off. You'll notice if you meet a really attractive woman and you walk up and you are trying all your moves on her, and she's got that persona up, and you can't break through, and you're like, it's like, what's your problem? Why won't you just settle down and be nice? Why don't you just treat me like a person? She's turned off her relating mechanism. That's what happened. The mechanism is off. She does not want to relate to you. Why? Because she doesn't want to feel relation and then wind up in a relationship. So she's turned off the mechanism. You're a them, not an us. Okay, I think that this is some kind of real mechanism that we have inside of us. If you want, you can relate to anyone or anything. So I said as an example, if a hunter was out and he was duck hunting, and a duck flew up and he went to shoot it, and right as he picked his gun up, he immediately went into relating. And he said, what are all the things that I and that duck have in common? And it went to, the duck has a heart that's beating, and I have a heart that's beating. The duck is looking out right now at this landscape and sees essentially the same thing that I have. The duck wants to fly home to its family, just like I'm going to go home to my family. At a certain point, he would eventually have the realization we are the same and would not be able to shoot the duck because he would say, I guess I should just shoot myself or someone in my family. At some point, that realization would probably hit him. And then Joe said to me, yeah, exactly. Like, it's like if you were out, hunting deer, and you pointed the gun at the deer, and the deer looked at you and said, what are you doing? You'd be like, nothing. And I said, that's a good crossover. That's a little weird, huh? Right? And so then we got into a little discussion about, what if the deer could communicate, don't shoot me, or what are you doing? You remember that there was an old Far Side. You remember the Far Side cartoons? There was a Far Side that, had, it was through the scope of a gun with the crosshairs on a bear's chest and had another bear standing behind him, like pointing at this one. What if animals could communicate with us like this? That would really spook people out because that feeling of relation, you'll notice that people are really pro-animal and kind of anti-meat and anti that whole thing. When you listen to them, they just sound like they think they're an animal too, like the animals and us were the same thing. And people that are on the other side of the argument are like, you're ridiculous. Quit being ridiculous. Both of them have some point. They're just both focused on different sides of the argument, if that makes sense. One's relating and one isn't. That's what I'm coming to here. So we got into this discussion about it, and I thought, I wonder if animals are saying that. I wonder if any of them are, because nowadays they're finding all this incredible stuff in animal communication just in the last few years. It is mind-boggling. So I got some documentaries and I did some research online. And wouldn't you know that animals are communicating with each other, and they do have their own languages. Uh-oh, now I'm opening a can of worms, aren't I? This is going somewhere. This is an example, by the way. Don't get too tripped out by this part. I'm trying to open your brain up and get you to feature something that's like, remember Eric said sometimes we got to get you way over here, even though we're just only trying to get you here? Okay, so follow me for just 5 more minutes. So I started studying this stuff online, and well, Joe bought a book for me called Next of Kin about this guy who was the one that raised and trained the first ape that used sign language, okay? Washoe, the chimp. And Washoe learned hundreds of signs, and then she had an adopted baby, and she taught the baby the sign language, and they communicate with each other, and it turned into this whole thing. And then there's this bonobo, which is another species of chimp that's very rare that most people don't know about, named Kanzi. Kanzi uses this lexigram system of symbols. Kanzi speaks 5,000 words using this system now. 5,000 words. They put Kanzi and his sister in 2 cages next to each other, where they couldn't see each other, but they could make vocal sounds to each other. And chimps, they don't have a vocal system that can make human words. And they've tried to teach them. They've only been able to teach them like 3 or 4 words because they just can't do it. Kanzi and his sister, she also speaks sign language. They're in cages next to each other. They can't see each other. They point up on the lexigram on the symbol tree to yogurt for Kanzi, and then they communicate to Kanzi, Kanzi, tell your sister what you're looking at. He made a sound, and then his sister pointed to the yogurt on the other side. I watched a documentary on dolphins, which they think may be more intelligent than chimps. And these dolphins, the dolphin comes up, puts its head out of the water, looks at the trainer does some sign language, the dolphin takes off and goes and does all these things. In one they said to the dolphin, they said, surfboard, human, fetch in sign language. The dolphin nods its head, turns around, jumps in the water, goes over, grabs the surfboard, and drags it over to the human in the pool. And then swims back over, looks back up. Then the person says, human, surfboard, fetch. The dolphin goes over, grabs the human, and brings it over to the surfboard, and does this stuff all day, right? They've even got one, well, I won't go into these. They're just so fantastic. The one that in the dolphin documentary that was amazing was they'll take 2 dolphins and they'll tell them to do things in sign language together. But then they had one experiment at the end that was so spectacular, it boggled my mind completely. They have two trainers with two dolphins, and the dolphins have their head out of the water, and they say, go and co-create, which means the two of you go do anything you both want to do, but you guys decide and do it together. And the two dolphins turn around, jump in the water, look at each other, and then both do the same maneuver. Sometimes they vocalize, and sometimes they do not. Dolphins. So both of those expanded my mind a little bit in terms of being able to relate to something, very different from me in a way. Also is what helped me get this whole thing of relationship. Here's the one that boggled my mind the most. Those two got me primed for this one. There was an article that I just read about recently online about this guy who's been studying prairie dogs for 20 years. Anyone read the article about the prairie dogs with their language? No? Okay. What this guy discovered is that prairie dogs have their own language, and they have nouns, verbs, and adjectives. They've got a whole language. And when a fox comes running into their territory and they make their little chirp, it's a different chirp from when a hawk comes flying in. Different type of predator, and they do different things. So they say, fox is in the hood. And then they all stand up and they look to see what fox it is. And if it's hawk is in the hood, they all dive into their holes because it's a different type of predator. Furthermore, they call out which fox it is. They recognize them. And they say, it's the fox that waits outside the holes. So he's coming closer, so when we go in, we got to stay in for longer because it's that fox. Or it's the fox that just runs through and then takes off. And then it got really trippy. They had a short man and a tall man come walking in, and they had the tall man wear like a blue shirt, and they recorded the chirps. And then they had a short guy come in and wear like an orange shirt, and they recorded the chirps, and they analyzed them. And then they had the guy switch shirts, and they analyzed them. And they actually figured out that these prairie dogs were saying, it's the tall guy, and he's in the blue shirt. This stuff was so I was like, oh my God. So I'm guessing anyway, I don't know, and I'm not one of these super animal activists or anything like that, but I'm guessing that if we could speak their language, whether it's the way they look at you, their body language, the chirps they're making, whatever, that when we go to pick the gun up, they're probably saying, what are you doing? All right? So that's the extreme end right there. I wanted to take you way over here so that we could then come back a little bit to... And by the way, was anyone able to relate a little bit more to animals when I said all that stuff? Okay, good. Okay? We're practicing relating. Is it possible that one of the challenges that we have with a total 10, with the woman that we want to attract and keep in our life, I'm going to introduce you to a concept in the next couple of days called gravity, which is beyond attraction, long-term, more permanent, more subtle. Is it possible that the woman that we want to attract and then flip on the tractor beam so that she's gravitationally held to us? Is it possible that relating, creating the feeling of relation, and then maintaining that long-term into relationship might be the portal through which we need to go if we want to have the success that we want to have? I'm going to suggest yes, it might be something that's good to explore. One of the problems that we face is what I might refer to as the Chris and Greg challenge. When you put two adult humans together, it's sometimes a little tough to get them to relate. Does that make sense? Because of that us and them mechanism. It's really hard to get humans to relate to animals, by the way. And you can see this is it's coming to a head. It's starting to rise up and become a real issue in the world right now as different people reach different levels of realization and different abilities to relate. So let's try another exercise. You know what? That was a lot of heavy stuff right there, right? That was some pretty heavy head trip kind of stuff, emotional things, because relating's emotional and whatever. Let's just take a moment. In your own space, write down your big insight right now. What's your realization that you got from that? Can you see how everything we were doing for 2 days was leading up to this? You see how it's a foundation, how it's a setup for this? You see how it all relates? Let me bring it home to you. Let me land the plane, so to speak. We went way out here. We thought about relationship. We went way out to the animal world, and we heard about this extreme kind of edgy stuff. I don't know if I buy some of it. Maybe I do buy some of it. That's interesting. We learned about the idea that, wow, we're related together really directly in a very real sense, and to the women that we're attracted to and want to spend time with. And that might change the way we treat them a little bit, the way our whole paradigm around it. So now let me get it a little bit closer, what I've really been preparing you for. If it's important to relate, feel relation, and have relationship with women and with other people, who do you think it's most important to relate to, feel relation, and feel relationship that's smooth and flowing and honest and evolving and developing? How about me? Did you notice what everyone said? Yourself. Me. One of the problems that we face, us men, is that most of us are out of rapport, we're out of sync with ourselves. I'm indebted to Uspensky and my friend Wyatt Woodsmall for this. Let's use this circle to represent your personality, you, who you are. What most people think is that the I that they know, the one that they experience as them, is the you, the them. What we don't realize is that we have more than one of us in there. In neurolinguistic programming, they call it parts, different parts of you. Uspensky and Gurdjieff would say that there are many eyes inside that eye. There's more than one. In fact, the picture that Peter Uspensky has in his book has a circle like this, and there are maybe 30 eyes in there. We're going to start with 2 to get the idea. Milton Erickson, kind of widely regarded as the world's greatest hypnotherapist, something I learned from him is that he thought that our conscious mind and unconscious mind were often out of rapport. They weren't in sync with each other. He would try to help people get in sync, their conscious and their unconscious mind. The problems that we're hearing up here, a lot of these challenges, these games, these things that we're all struggling with, a lot of cases just come down to one part of us is out of sync with another. They can't relate to each other. I think I should be behaving one way, but I feel like behaving another. Or even worse, I think I should be behaving one way, and I behave all of these different ways, and I can't face the reality that I'm out of control. I can't face that I'm a machine doing all this stuff. So then I have to weave all these stories together to make it all make sense to me, and then get attached to those stories and get frozen in this holodeck, this reality that isn't even real, and I can't let myself go because I can't let go of these stories. I can't see them in the first place, never mind let them go so I can mature and be okay on my own. Finding the places where you can't relate to yourself and where you don't have relationship with yourself and where you're not in rapport with yourself is vital. And lining those parts up is vital. finding the places where you are in rapport with yourself, finding where the relation is and expanding that is very important. I am seeing a look in a lot of eyes right now that I can only describe. Who feels like their mind is being blown right now? Okay, good. You're in the right place. That's what you came for, right? No? What do you think I'm going to do for the next few days here, huh? Good. You know what? Program's over, guys. Thank you for coming. Good. I just have to ask a question here, just for my own kind of gratification and comforting. Who's getting their money's worth?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Okay, so this concept right here has been very meaningful to me. And the way to, I think some of the hints here are inner friction. Okay, the cues that we're looking for is when we feel some kind of inner friction, some kind of inner conflict between two pieces of us. We go, oh, that's what's going on here. There's a problem between we can't do questions right now, problem between my parts. What Wyatt Woodsmall explained to me is we have all of these different parts inside of us, and each of the parts has its own agenda. And when you want to change, the part of you that wants to change happens to be in the house. The problem is that that part isn't going to be here the whole time. That the part that doesn't want to change is going to show up a little bit later and wreck everything. And those two parts haven't really met. So the two parts here, these two eyes that I have represented, we could kind of think of these as two kind of sub-parts of your personality. These two that I want to meet with you, one of them wants to change, grow, evolve, move forward into the future, and let everything go. There's a part of you that wants to do that. The other one is the part of you that wants to keep you the same, keep you where you're at, keep you who you were, keep you in your comfort zone. We each have at least those two here. The one that wants to keep you the same wants to do it for safety, probably, security. It knows what works. The one that wants to change and move into the future, it probably wants all of the benefit of discovery, the benefit of creation, the wonder of making your own path. There's probably some part of you that can relate to that. How do we get these on the same page? Where do we start? Get them to relate. Close. Where do we start? Awareness. Keep going. Find the similarities, the common ground. Good. Where they overlap. Good. We're getting warmer. Common intention, higher purpose. Good. What are we looking for? Where they already relate. Does that make sense? We're looking for where they already relate. What is their shared perspective? What do they both want? They both want good stuff for you. They both have a positive intention. They both ultimately want what's in your best long-term interest. Does this make sense? That's what they both want. Both of them do not show up at the same time. You got one of them or the other, typically. And when the other one starts to show up, number one hits the road. They haven't really met. Tell me a little about these two parts in you. Describe these two. Share them with me.
Well, the first part is the one that's here right now, and the one that's been studying this stuff for the past 3 years.
Okay?
And the other part is probably at home when I leave.
Okay. Tell me about that part.
That part.
In fact, Since you're here, Dan number one is here. Tell me about yourself right now. How do you feel? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with this stuff? How do you feel?
Right now, I feel a little nervous because I'm up here. But what I want to incorporate this stuff into my life to make my career grow and to help out other people ultimately, to help
Good.
them feel what I'm feeling right now.
What specifically do you want to incorporate? Give me the most edgy thing that's at the farthest edge of your comfort zone. It might even be going outside your comfort zone. I don't know.
Well, coming up here right now is outside my comfort zone.
Okay, good.
So being up here,
Talk more about in your life.
okay.
Your life, what do you want to do? What do you want to implement that you've gotten here specifically?
I want to be able to go up to a person and just instantly relate with them. Like, be able to have that control, not me or the other I having the control over me.
Okay? So let's talk about the other you, Dan number two, that's at home waiting, so to speak.
Okay.
Can I talk to that Dan for a moment?
Sure.
Can you maybe get into that mindset, whatever that means?
Okay.
Okay? So maybe you've gone home, let's say it was a week ago or a month ago, or when you were really in that mode. How does Dan number two feel about going out to just walking up to someone that you don't know?
I felt okay with it, but ultimately I would have a problem like getting that deeper level. I mean, I just got out of a relationship like a month ago of a year and a half.
Okay?
So
Maybe these aren't the right two. Maybe we need a different part of your personality. I'm really looking for one part of your personality that wants to go into the future of your life and change everything and develop and grow and evolve. And the other part of you that really, really wants to keep you the same. It might not even be with women, by the way.
all right, at home, I'm still living at home with my parents.
Okay.
And that one part wants to stay there because the comfort's there.
Good. Okay.
And the other part wants to just get out and move on. While the other part is saying, no, you don't have enough money yet. You can't do that quite yet. You're not ready.
Good.
And it keeps pulling on me.
Excellent. Okay, so those are the two parts that I want to talk to right now, okay?
Okay.
Put the mic down. I mean, like down, down, down. Hands up. What I'd like you to do is close your eyes, but imagine you can see through your eyelids, and imagine that you can see your hands. In your right hand, I'd like you to imagine Dan number 2, the one that wants to stay living at home, the one that wants to stay in your comfort zone, stay in the safety, says things like, what are you thinking? You can't do that. That would be stupid. And remember, Dan number 2 has a good intention, a positive long-term intention, wants to keep you safe and take care of you. There's nothing wrong with this part of you, but just imagine that part. Now imagine that part in your hand, physically appearing there. Dan number 2 might take a certain shape or a certain color. Texture might be moving in a certain way. Can you see it? Good. Now in your left hand, look down and see Dan number 1. Dan number 1 wants to grow, evolve, change, move on with your life. A lot of adventure and discovery. Letting go of the old. Not worrying about the risk, worrying about being more focused on the payoff, making great things happen for you. Can you see that, Dan, in your left hand? I'd like you to look down and see if you can look back and forth at them slowly and really see what each embodies, those two parts of you. And then slowly, lift your hands up very slowly, and start bringing those two together, getting closer and closer and closer to each other. And then At the end, push them together and merge them into one. And notice how the picture changes of each as they become one. And then pull them slowly into your chest and feel them merging into you, both of them at the same time. Feel Dan number 1 and Dan number 2 integrating together. Push them all the way in. Good. And now notice how those colors and shapes integrate into you at the same time. And notice how you change your thinking. Notice how you feel differently. Notice how you can see from both perspectives simultaneously in a way that you couldn't before. And when you really get what it feels like to have those two parts integrated, take as long as you like, come back. Will you take the mic and report how you feel?
I feel much more relaxed. I feel relieved. I actually feel more comfortable up here, to be honest with you.
Tell me about how you see your life right now and what you want to do from both perspectives simultaneously.
I think Dan number 2 can actually help Dan number 1 move out and achieve the things, but do it in a safe manner.
Bingo. Bingo. Good. And we're not going to go too much further, but that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now that's a little weird talking about Dan number 1 helping Dan number 2, and they're both in here. I realize that's a little strange, but who's ready to try this? Okay, good. Everyone ready? You going to do this? Do you have the two parts of you that we're talking about? One being the one that wants to keep things the same, one that wants to change everything, both with a bigger intention of taking really good care of you, long term, the best long term you. You got them? All right, let's do it. Hands up on your lap. In your right hand, I'd like you to imagine the version of you that wants to keep things the same, that wants to do the same things the same way you've always done them. It's very comfortable that way and knows that it will reduce risk tremendously if you just do them the same way and avoid risk. In your left hand, I'd like you to see the other you, the one that wants to evolve, change, develop, throw off the old, create the new, adventure, be more concerned with reward and discovery than risk. As you're looking through your eyelids and seeing these two yous, notice which shapes and colors represent each. Notice the pattern. Notice if there's movement, dimension, emotion, feeling. Good. And now, slowly pick your hands up, moving these two parts of you slowly together, slowly and only as fast as you feel comfortable. Merge them together in your hands and hold them there together. And watch what happens to the two shapes as they merge through your eyelids. See them clearly. Notice the new shape, color, texture, if there's any movement, any feeling, any emotion. Notice as they merge together and become one. And only as fast as you're comfortable. Now pull them into your chest slowly and allow them to just merge into your heart. Push them all the way in. And notice the feeling as they spread through you, down into your feet, out into your arms, and up into your head. Notice how you feel in your body. Notice your emotions shifting. Notice your thinking changing, shifting, shifting, shifting. And now consider your life from the perspective of parts 1 and 2 as one part. And see how they can relate to each other and help each other. See how they can be in relationship. Realize that they truly are related. And now that they can know each other and work together, you can get more of what you want in both dimensions. And only as fast as you fully integrate those two personalities together can you slowly and comfortably open your eyes and take a deep breath into now. This is probably the first time that those two parts have really met, related, felt relation, and started to get into relationship. Right? They may have been thems, and now they're an us. Start writing. How can they help each other? How can you get more of what you want in life with them in rapport with each other? How can the one personality that they have merged into create more long-term success as a team together than one could have alone?
The first one, the comfortable one, the color was green, and all I could think was, now. I want to get laid tonight. I need a 10 tonight. This has got to happen tonight.
Did anyone else have a green want to get laid now? Yeah, we had one over here.
I need and want a 2009 Dodge Challenger. And the second one, the one that wants to progress, was multicolored. And it was saying, by the time that you're 30 years old in 5 years, you're going to be something amazing. You're going to be something 10 times more powerful. You're going to invest in that condominium that you wanted to get with your friend. You're going to have created a successful business and a successful name for yourself, and you're going to be a completely different person. And there's much more facets to just having fun. But it also spoke to the green, saying, I need you to help me have fun too right now. So I don't kill myself. That's a joke. A joke.
Thank you, Chris. There's a little truth in every joke.
Well, hi, Dave. My name's Steve, and I'm from Kimball, Nebraska, which is just outside of Denver. It's a very, very small town.
Outside of Denver?
Outside of Denver. It's kind of on the border with Colorado. And the reason I tell you this, it kind of goes along with the story. Well, I'm an attorney, and I live in this town that we have 3 attorneys in the town.
Okay.
And it's just like so hard to grow or develop your career or really do anything in this town.
You are 1/3 of the legal
I
profession.
am 1/3 of the legal profession in Kimball, Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
So what I really need to do is, I've been there for about 5 years, and I really need to, expand and grow and develop personally and professionally and things like that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to move to Denver. It's really not that far down the road. I have to get licensed in Colorado and go through that, but that can be done. So there's the 2 parts of me, and the right hand was, to me, it was colored blue, and the blue part is just the part that wants to stay in Kimball, Nebraska, and it's very peaceful there. There's no drama. It's very safe. I've make a moderate income, but you know it's going to be there and stuff. And then the other part, the left hand, that was red. That was like glowing hot red. And that's the part that wants to move to Denver or Los Angeles or somewhere. It wants to get the hell out of there and go do something completely different that is way outside my comfort zone. And the right hand, the blue part, that is the part that like so easily can take control. That's the part that was a lot controlling me while I was here, while I was thinking, yeah, this is all right and stuff, but when are we getting the pickup lines? This is like, it's like, what are we doing here? And I really didn't feel like I was getting much out of this until this afternoon. And it's like, oh, maybe he does have a plan. Maybe this is coming together.
Maybe there's going maybe there's going to be a pickup line after all in this damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I never really looked at it that there were two parts of me before, especially not like this. This was, it just started out and it seems so just bizarre.
Isn't it a mind blower that you can get to be an adult and not have to learn this stuff?
Yeah.
It's too much, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. It just
Good for
seems
you.
like you should have learned. But I don't know. I just thought it was a really amazing experience. And now that's something to really work on, is to look at those two parts. Because the part that just wants to stay in Kimball is not a bad part. It's like what you said. It wants what's best for me.
Yeah.
But that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I know there's more.
Well, that's not what the other part of you wants to do.
Exactly. Yes.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, g'day. My name's Michael from Australia. Pretty bloody nervous right now up here.
You outside your comfort zone?
Definitely.
You want to be a little more outside? Get
Maybe
1 inch from that microphone.
a bit closer.
Now
That
we're
better?
talking.
All right, yeah, definitely outside my comfort zone though.
We just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah. So, I don't know, during that exercise, I didn't exactly have any colours or anything going on. I don't know, I'm not...
Some people see colors, some don't see
Yeah.
anything.
But it was more what happened after I put those two things together and put them inside of me, and just what I could relate it to in my life. When I put the two eyes together, it's like they were brothers, and the older one had the newer one's back. Just like I've come over to the US to do business. I've got business partners back home. They have my back in Australia, and it just felt like the same thing. So part of me has my back. A little bit like my brother's keeper, but it's inside me. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. So I think
Name and where you're from?
Oh, where am I from? Punta Gorda, Florida.
Who are you?
Florida.
Who
Hurricane
are you?
capital of the world.
What's your first name?
Liam.
Leo?
Liam.
Liam.
Like William.
Liam
Yeah.
from Florida.
From Florida.
All right.
That's it.
Took a long time to figure that out
I guess
between
so.
me and Liam.
Yeah. That's because I'm from a lot of places.
Let's just go on to the next point.
Anyway, the brilliant part, and absolutely I have to thank you, this is brilliant. I've always used the shadow or the gremlin as something that I fought. It was something I was always throwing over my shoulder and trying to get rid of. And I have never seen it displayed this way or thought of it this way as the possibility that they could partner in my life. Very cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dave,
Hello.
and everyone. My name is Len, and I am currently from Syracuse, New York, where I've lived for the past 2 years, but I'm planning on returning to California. I am originally from California, although I was born in Canada, but that's neither here nor there, because what's important is that this exercise gave me a new insight. I am currently in a relationship that is kind of, or has kind of, fallen apart over many years. We've been separated for 5 years now. And my idea was, that's it. She's never really supported me, for me, who I am, my creative side. And I have ended up in a lot of positions, working, doing things that have rather stifled my creative side, which is what I wanted to bring out. That's the I part that I guess you could say was in the left-hand side, the one that wants to shuck off all of the stuff, the responsibility, keeping the kind of jobs that I've been having that, while not horrible, have not brought out the real me, as you so brilliantly explained. On the other hand, there's the right-hand side that said, uh-oh, not a good idea to continue this relationship thing. We've got to take care of that too, and then we can move along, and grow on that side too. But what's really fascinating, the security side, the one that says, hey, you've got to stay within your comfort zone, says, I don't want to give up all this security, namely going off living all by myself somewhere without a job or anything else like that. And I have actually made the decision to go ahead and leave Syracuse and return here regardless. In this economy, it doesn't matter. But what I have come to the realization of is maybe I can get these two to work together by possibly even partnering in a temporary sense with the individual that I have had a relationship for some time, while at the same time developing the creative side. At first it was kind of like, I'd have not a damn thing to do with her under any circumstances, and the hell with it, you see? But now, maybe I could possibly work together to do this, even if the togetherness is only another temporary thing, while I get the left-hand side, the creativity side, developed. And I never thought that that would be possible, intellectually speaking, until we did this exercise.
Awesome. Thank you.
My name's Dan. I'm from Atlanta, and I passed my comfort zone like 3 rows ago.
Okay.
A little nervous. But anyway, during through most of these first couple days, I wasn't getting a lot of this. I felt like when you're talking about specific emotions and specific instances where, you felt this emotion or that, there's a lot of instances in my life where I felt multiple emotions during the same time, and I felt like maybe that was holding me back, that I was feeling multiple emotions, like, I would feel hate and anger or peace with the same instance. And so I wasn't understanding and getting a lot of this stuff we've been doing. But when you brought in this multiple I's, multiple me's, I get it. Like it really clicked in, and I wish it was as simple as there's only 2 of me in there. Yeah. But it made me realize that all of these I's can actually work together towards Team Me, towards making something a greater purpose in my life to make it better. So that's what I got.
Awesome. Thank you. Nice work.
Can I really
You
get out
just
of my
snuck up there, huh?
really have to get out of my comfort zone and seek your disapproval here by breaking your rules?
Perfect.
I came here with a number of thoughts, but I had one particular question that I didn't think would necessarily be answered. But in doing this, I'm on my way to getting an answer to that. And that was in studying your materials, I sort of connected with the biological evolutionary psychology, acting like sperm, wanting to mate with lots of different females. That I understand that side. Then also studying some of the other people that you've had recommended, like Wayne Dyer, Stuart Wilde, getting in touch with the spiritual side, the soul of things, the evolution of a soul, whether you believe that or not. It's a concept. It may be true, it may not. And I was looking at these two perspectives from a purpose of life perspective. One, we have the animal, the machine, whose purpose is to survive and replicate. And then potentially we have a soul whose purpose is to evolve to their higher purpose and get the learnings that they were supposed to get by being down here as a human. And I was struggling with how do these two exist in the same being? And I didn't see it as a parts integration, as you call it in NLP. I didn't see it as two parts of me. And in doing that, I saw them potentially as two parts of me that were struggling within myself with my own desires and the other connections that I was looking for.
You were a little ahead of where I was planning on you being yet, but nice work. Ooh, good. A couple of pieces of homework for you. Homework number 1, do more parts integration exercises yourself. When the different eyes pop up, say, oh, wow, a different part of me. Interesting. Let me get to know this part. Let me introduce it to the others. Become more integrated forever. Continually become more integrated. Integrate your parts, integrate your perspectives. See how they can work together and synergize and help each other. Help them feel related. Number 2, use these tools to relate to other people. From now on, when you meet others, see if you can relate as fast as possible. Look for the opportunity to relate and continue relating and relate and relate and relate until you feel that click, that emotional feeling of relation. That is how relationship works. And then, of course, finally, take these tools into your relationships with women. Look at women and realize these are other beings that are related to you, that you need to treat like woman, sister, lover. You with me? All integrated. Integrate those parts and realize that she is them. A lot of us get stuck in this Madonna whore thing where we want to just imagine that our girl is this perfect, pristine creature, or we want to see her as this dirty, nasty whore that we can have this nasty sex with. Is it okay that maybe she's the same person? Maybe she has all of these different qualities and she's someone that you're related to? And can you bring respect and admiration, honesty, integrity? Can you bring all of these things together? There's a band called Mr. Big, and the bass player, Billy Sheehan, wrote a song. He wrote the lyrics to it, and it was called Daddy, Brother, Lover, Little Boy. The main line of the song went, I'll be your daddy, your brother, your lover, and your little boy. And all through the song, he's singing these lyrics about when you're in all these different situations, I'll be there for you. Anything you need, I'm going to be there. I'll be your daddy, your brother, your lover, little boy. He really understood something, right? That we have all these parts and we need them all. If you can relate your parts together and you can help relate hers together, and then the two of you can relate, anything is possible. Anything is possible. When you get stuck in your games, when you get stuck with those imprints, when you get stuck with those emotions, when you don't look at it, when you avoid, when you don't allow your emotions to flow, and then you interact with a woman who gets emotions, all these challenges come up. So integrate. Bring these pieces together. Allow them to work together. And go through, face head on as a man, face the challenges that come up. Face the emotions. Let them wash through you. Experience them. Let them happen. Don't judge them, just let them happen. And you're going to screw up a lot. You're going to stop it and then go, oh, I did it again. Damn it. And then you're going to feel a bad emotion about that. You're going to go, oh, no, a meta emotion about. It's okay. Just keep coming back. Relax. Let it wash over you. Go do the work. Do the timeline. You've got the exercises. Do the parts integration. Forgive yourself. Use all the tools that you have. It's all about relating. enough to feel relation in the process of relationship. And that brings us to the second section, the end of the second section of man transformation. How do you feel? Nice. One last thought. I was researching the word educate. I was researching the etymology, the history of the word. Turns out the root of educate is, I think it's educo, and it means to draw out from within, to bring out from within. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to draw this out of you, for you. So work with me to help draw it out of you. Don't try to get it from me. Don't try to get it from my guest speakers. It's not me. I am not where this is going to come from for you. It's going to come from within you. I am trying to kind of be like they say in Zen, a finger pointing to the moon. I'm not the moon. I'm just the finger pointing toward it. Let's draw it out from within you. Okay?